every week there'll be something that I will like a checklist of what I'm doing. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على كل أمور الدنيا والدين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نوعنا التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على تمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نستعين بك من شر صافي الهم يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نستعين بك من شر صافي الهم يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نستعين بك من شر صافي الهم يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ادمنا علما نتقي به امرك ونواهيك ورزقنا نعرف بك من يا ارحم الراحمين. اللهم انا نسال فهم النبي وحفظ المرسلين والهام الملائكه المقربين بعافيتك يا ارحم الراحمين. اللهم اغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم واكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافيه يا ارحم الراحمين. امين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا من نور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال إخلاص الشرق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Just to ask people on the Zoom, is my voice really not that clear? I forgot to bring my mic. Usually I bring a mic. Anyone has like a earpiece that has a mic clip? Usually I bring my clip mic, but today I completely forgot. And they say that the voice is not so clear. So I hope I put my phone here lah. The one that I clip, I actually clip. Yeah, because I don't have my clip mic. I forgot my clip mic. So it's okay. Next time I will have to have a checklist of what to bring when I leave the house. I have a checklist. I don't know something I'll forget. Too many things to remember because all the gadgets, a lot of gadgets to bring. So I tend to forget. Right, so we're on page 31. Are we on page 31? 32. We're on wabil Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam nabiyya wa rasulah. Tamam. Okay. We're on page 30. Tamam. Yes, I put a mark there. So the virtues also Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qala al-mu'allif rahimahullahu ta'ala wa nafa'ana Allahu bihi wa bi ulumi fid darain. Now qal, is there a mic there on the check there's a mic on the let me see the there's a mic. The mic is over there, is it? Let me see. Is it a mic? It's a mic. Okay, come on. Is it clear? Is this clear? Now with the mic. Is this clear? Okay, muffled. Is this worse? Is it now worse? It's the same. Okay. Okay, it's the same. It's the same. No difference at all. So no difference. It's the same. Okay. Is it better? Okay, never mind. Someone said. Sama. Huh? No, it's not on the radio, but it's just I didn't bring a mic this time. No difference, killer. Okay, tama. I just hold this up. Okay. But if there's no difference, that means it is basically taking from my phone's mic. Basically from this mic. There's no difference. Okay. So the question was in Islam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the miser is the one whom I am mentioned in his presence. He doesn't have response sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala sayyidina Muhammad. I see in Arabic the hadith goes البخيل من كتبت عنده ولم يصلي عليه اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا Muhammad. And it's called a bakhil, a miser, right? Because he is bakhil ala nafsi. Right? He is a miser, and a miser means someone who's stingy, bakhil, onto his own self. Right? Because it says Rasulullah alayhi wasallam, only you will benefit. Right? Rasulullah is free of your slawat onto you. Because Allah has His slawat on Rasulullah alayhi wasallam and the angels and all of the believers and all the creatures on the earth and all of the animals and plants and even inanimate objects like mountains and stones and the entire world is doing salawat to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he has no need for our salawat sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Already with Allah, inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Already Allah himself is salawat. Is I mean nobody can thereafter say anything because Allah has done it subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. So and mashallah there was one point that I heard one of the in Singapore, Khadija, because she was mentioning one of these points. And one of my shaykh that she took when I think it was Habib Ali Jifi or someone, right? But basically when one of these people of bid'ah, like people of bid'ah, I mean they say things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shouldn't be said. So when they say, okay, you know what is Allah doing right now? If you say that Allah has no time frame or whatsoever, what is Allah doing right now? They asked one of my shaykh, and the shaykh said, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Allah is doing salawat on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Dalil Quran. So he just read the ayat. You can't even argue that, right? You can't argue because the Quran says Allah is doing salawat. All the Quran says. So you can't. So what's Allah doing right now? Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi. There are people who just want fitna. They have no other intention except to make people doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they want to bring down the sanctity and the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are people like that. And inshallah, as you go through Aqidah, this group of people, they began to exist in time of the Sahaba. In the time of the Sahaba, they began already. And they have continued to exist till our time. But each zaman, they will be put out, right? They will be stopped, they will be removed, they will be abolished, then they will come again. Right? So this are like, throughout time, from the time of Sayyidina Uthman, Sayyidina Ali, right? They appeared. And these people, they are those people of bid'ah. Right? And then later on, in the time of the Imams, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal was one of those who really faced them. Imam Shafi'i as well. Right? He was slandered by them and goes into prison. Imam Shafi'i bin Hanbal had to bear with whips. Right? He was whipped in the prison because of these people who spread bid'ah about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until our time they exist. Until the end of time they will exist. Because the Prophet spoke about them, and to the point that their ibadah would amaze you. Their ibadah would amaze you. Their qiyam and their Quran would amaze you. But they have nothing of worth in their hearts. Because their aqidah is wrong. The aqidah is wrong. So someone, even when they have like full sharia, like a full ibadah going on with them, aqidah is wrong, there's nothing for them. Nothing at all. Subhanallah. So Abi Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, That's which is why when we go through each of this, you said the Ridwan. So or is each of this, Rida, Radina billahi Rabba, wa bil Islam dina, wa bi Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam nabiyya wa rasulah. And Imam al-Haddad, may Allah reward him on our behalf greatly for writing this down for us. That this really, it's called Aql al-Mujmala, right? Because it focuses the human being on how do you prepare your heart for this, right? And there's really the problem in our zaman. There is no rida. They don't have rida with Allah as their creator. That they have problems with what Allah has decreed on this earth. In our zaman, I mean, in every zaman, in our zaman, they have problems with the suffering going on this earth, and they blame Allah. They have problems with the injustice on this earth, and they blame Allah. And they have problems with what is in their life that Allah has caused to happen, Allah has decreed to happen. Now, it's a decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You go through death, you go through separation, you go through illness, you go through loss of job, all kinds of things, right? But there's no rida. Imam al-Haddad, by his, mashallah, wisdom, and of course, all from Rasulullah, because we're going to the hadith later on about, those who say every morning, every evening, Radina billahi Rabba, bil Islam dina, wa Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is in our wirid al-Latif. And Imam al-Haddad, again, he's the one who put it down in the wirid, and he finds that it's from the hadith, from prophetic directive. It's very important to say this every single morning 3 times, every single evening 3 times. As Imam al-Haddad himself has arranged for us. MashaAllah, Allah reward Imam al-Haddad on our behalf. Right? Because our Prophet knows that towards the end of time, the biggest problem that will afflict people is lack of rida. They have no rida. Right? With what Allah has decreed, what Allah has placed. And we say, وَرَضِينَا بِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا, they have no rida of the Sharia. You see, you ask, if you go back to your countries, with your families, people who disobey, right? When you try and advise them, they will argue, and that's a sign of no rida. There is no rida. So when you speak about the hijab, they'll be like, no, in our time, it's irrelevant, it's whatever. They will say, there's no rida. There's no rida with Islami dina. You're not happy with Islam as your religion. You're not happy with all these laws of Islam. Not happy. I mean, you have to argue, you have to change it, you have to give your opinion about it. In the Quran, one of the ayahs, Allah mentioned that it is not for the believer, man or woman, to have a say once Allah and His Prophet has spoken. And once they have spoken, you have no say. It's not your opinion, subhanAllah, but it's our zaman. It's our zaman. So as mentioned, this class, I'll bring in our zaman. Right? So this is something as basit, as simple text as Aqid al-Mujmala. It is a spread amongst our people, and you teach them rida, and you teach our children rida, to have rida with the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a very young age, which you submit. Allah said, Rasul said, I have full rida. I have full rida. And the sunnah is as such rida. My rida is in the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very deep secret in these words, and of course it comes from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that it is it's 100% correct, and it's 100% the solution for every Aqidah problem in our zaman. Every problem. And then this Aqidah, you say, once Aqidah is fixed, right? Sharia is fixed. Once Aqidah is fixed, Tasawwuf is fixed. Right? Everything goes to Aqidah, right? So once your Aqidah is fixed, right, even your akhlaq is fixed. Because you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the way of Rasulullah alayhi wasallam. Right? So Rasulullah said, whoever sends one salawat unto me, Allah sends salawat unto him. It's from a longer hadith whereby one Sahaba saw Rasulullah alayhi wasallam with his face shining so bright. Right? And he was so happy, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right? And this is an indication. I mean, that whenever Rasulullah is happy, right, his face will shine like the brightest full moon. Right? They would, and the Sahaba will see bright shining face, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he has a natural light in his face. Right? So the light is spiritual, it is also physical. It's actually a physical light glowing from his face. So Aisha once narrated that she was mending something once with a needle, right? And the needle fell onto the ground, onto the sand, because in the desert at night. So at night it fell. So if you have a needle falling onto the sand, it's impossible for you to find where is this needle, right? And then at that point in time, some came into the room and she saw her needle. And so can you imagine how bright is bright? Right? Even in a dim light, you're like, where is the needle? You can find even in dim light. Right? You have the bright light. And you're like, oh, I see my needle. You know, mashallah. So, and she said she saw her needle when he came to the room. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? And it is known among the Sahaba. And there was once he was walking with a few Sahaba at night. And his light was lighting, his face was lighting the way. Mashallah. So they go find the path. So at a point he had to separate from them to go on his way. Right? And they're like, Ya Rasulullah, we have no light. We can't find our way. So he took a branch. So he took a branch, right? And then he held it, right? And he said, may Allah light you the way. And passed him the branch, and the branch had light from it, like a torchlight. Mashallah, it's mu'jiza. It's the riwayah about it. Right? There was the two Sahabi, they took this branch, it was like a torchlight, and they walked on their way. They found their way. So when they reached a point where they had to separate now, right? So now, then they were like, what are we going to do now? We only one branch. So they broke the branch into two, and no torchlight can do this. They broke the branch into two, and each half had a light. So they both took a half each, and they went home with their branch with the light. And the next one there was more light, like because for some we put the motor will only last for a while, then it goes away. So even for us, like you have one torchlight, you can't break torchlight with two and give each one half. But his mu'jiza is even more than a torchlight, mashallah. But you can break the branch, and each of them have like mashallah. So it's one of his miracles, mashallah. But there was one of the riwayat that showed that he was light physically as well, spiritually and a physical light. Which is why the Sahaba, even those in Mecca, they cannot deny that he's a prophet. Because from the time he was born, the night that he was born, the night itself, right, Qabel Fajr, it was still dark in his Fajr. The entire of Mecca witnessed a bright light shining through Mecca as if it was day. As if it was daylight. Right? And they were wondering, and everybody came out of their houses on the night that he was born, and they wondered, where is this light coming from? Why is Mecca illuminated? Right? And so they knew it. When he came out as a prophet, his whole childhood, his youth, his teenagehood, his adulthood, until he was 40, they saw so many, they call it irhasat. Irhasat will be miracles before revelation. After revelation, it's called mu'jizat, but it's irhasat. Irhasat are miracles that came before revelation that shows that he is special. And they saw so many things. They saw so many. Which is why it was said they are called kafir. Because they saw so many proofs. There is no reason why they disbelieve, except because of some amrad, some illness in their hearts, arrogance or hasad, right? Or holding on to their forefathers. Some of them is not arrogance, but it's just this very it's a sickness at holding on to what their forefathers did, regardless of whether it's true or not. It's an illness. Right, so Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the story goes that he was when the Sahaba saw him, his face was shining so bright in happiness, and it'll get brighter when he's happy. Ya Rasulullah, may Allah keep you happy. Why are you so happy? And he said, Jibreel just came to me with good news for my ummah. And he said that Allah says, if any one of you does one salawat onto me, Allah will do 10 salawats onto him. And one salawat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is amazing. It's rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you get one rahmah from Allah, one part of rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never punish you ever. And so one salawat, mashallah, you do 10 salawats, you are morning and evening. You are given the guarantee of the shafa'ah of someone that you're just 10. Only 10. It's only 10, mashallah. Only 10. You can't do that. 10, right? It's so easy. Mashallah. And then so distracting. Mashallah. It's so amazed with seeing all the angels. Yeah, so many angels here. Mashallah. And if you do 100, mashallah. And then I can't keep talking to him. You do 100. Get access to Rasulullah. I would say the minimum you should do every day is 300. Minimum 300. Every day of salawats. You do 1,000, inshallah, you see the Prophet. 1,000 every day. And there are those who do 7,000, 10,000. And for them, it's not appreciate. Not appreciate. And it's just like, and daily, it's a daily matter. I know one of the mashayikh, one of the mashayikh, he writes a lot of books and very, mashallah, in Malaysia. And so once he was asked, where do you find all this time to teach and to write and to this and to that and everything? How do you find this time? So he responded, well, first thing first, every morning, right? 5 juz of the Quran, 5 juz of the Quran, and 10,000 salawats. That's why I find my time to do all these things. And we're like, because your yaqeen is not strong enough. That's why. That's why, right? For them, they do this and they find time. If they don't do all this stuff, they don't find time. But because barakah in that. And for us, that what if I do 5 juz in the morning? Halas, it's afternoon. I have no more morning. Mashallah. Right, but mashallah, Allah he was, Allah expands the time of his awliya. Which is why last week we mentioned about how really Allah expands the time of the awliya. But it is that they use their time for goodness. And then Allah gives them expanded time. So Rasulullah said that whoever is the most plentiful in sending flowers onto me is the closest to me in station on the day of judgment. What's the hadith? So the closest to you to me on the day of judgment is the one who does the most salawat onto me. Salawat onto Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, so now we come to the definition of Nabi and Rasul. So Nabi, because what Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nabiyya wa Rasula. There are two statements here, Nabi and Rasul. And some of the scholars have commented the first 3 years of his da'wah, he was as a Nabi. Because there was no commandment for to announce the da'wah openly yet, right? And then after the first 3 years, then there is open da'wah. Then he moved on to being a Rasul. Right? So the difference between Nabi and Rasul is that a Nabi was not commanded to announce the message and deliver the message to a community of people, whereas a Rasul is commanded. And with that said, every believer is expected to deliver the message. Every believer. So a Nabi does do tabligh. He does deliver the message, but on him it's not a fard in a way like it's on a Rasul. So for a Rasul, if Allah sent a Rasul to a people, he's not allowed to leave until Allah gives permission. Then he's allowed to leave, only by permission. But a Nabi is like other human beings, whereby you go to people, you speak to them. If you want to leave after having spoken to them, you can, because you've done your job, in a sense. And there's no blame on you, unlike a Rasul. A Rasul, if they're sent to a people, if they leave, is mukhalafa. What's it? Mukhalafa. That means they cannot leave their people until they get permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was what happened accidentally to Nabi Yunus alayhi salam. It was an accident. So Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, with regards to what Habib mentioned, during one of his qasas al-haq that he tells online. Nabi Yunus, what happened to him, for us to understand what happened to Nabi Yunus, because prophets don't disobey. They don't. But they make mistakes, yes. Because human mistake or human lack of judgment that is human can happen to prophets. Lack of judgment. Right? It's possible. Because human beings, you see what you see. Right? So you don't see the entire big picture sometimes. So what happened to Nabi Yunus alayhi salam that Habib mentioned is that he was told by the angels the punishment is to come the next day. He was told punishment is to come the next day. He knows that when punishment comes, it's time to leave. But he was not given instruction to leave yet. It was an oversight on his part. So the angels told him, this is how we understand what happened to Nabi Yunus. It's not ma'asiyah, it's not mukhalafa also, but it's just mistake. It was an oversight, right? So when the next day came, and he himself saw the clouds of azab, right? He himself saw the clouds. He saw the clouds of azab. He assumed in himself time to leave, so he left. But the instruction had not come. So you can see when Nabi Yunus, right? It's not a sin, not even a mukhalafa, because he assumed he had been given permission by the angels informing him tomorrow is punishment. And he saw the clouds coming on his way to the town. So he left, because by right, you leave the town before the azab comes. But he didn't know the people will tawbah before the azab comes. The people will do tawbah. And so when he left, the same morning, he left already. I saw the clouds, he left. I went on the ship. The people woke up in the morning, they saw the clouds, they panicked. Right? This is what Yunus is talking about the entire time. Right? So they, were looking for Nabi Yunus. So he's supposed to have stayed there to be a guide for them, but he had assumed that Halasan will leave. That the azab has come, it's time for us to go. Right? So they looked for Nabi Yunus. They couldn't find Nabi Yunus. Right? And then they cried and made tawbah, and Allah removed the crowd. Right? So there was no punishment on them. So all of them became believers. And their prophet was not there. Oh, miskin, mashallah. I mean, yeah, he thought that khalas, they're going to be destroyed. Yeah, mashallah. He's in the whale. Yeah, he's in the whale. Right. So that's right. When he was on the ship, and there was a storm, and so they all said that we have to throw someone off the ship, otherwise the storm will not go away. And they draw lots, and they did a few times, because when they did the first time, Nabi Yunus' name came out, and they know him to be Rajul Saleh. He's a righteous man. You can't throw him off the ship. Right? They did a few times. Every single time is his name, and Allah wants him. And Nabi Yunus, at this point, he knew already where was his mistake. He knew his mistake. And so you see, it's not ma'asiyah. It's not ma'asiyah wala mukhalafa. It's just it's a shortcoming that is human. So any of us, if you saw punishment coming, you run away, right? Right. So he didn't see that there was no permission given, but knowledge was given to him. Information. Punishment coming, it's coming in the morning, but there was no instruction to leave the town. So you see how it's so human, It's so human to do this. You see something, you see all the signs, and then you just do what is most natural to do. So that's how we understand our prophets, and you keep a dawn of prophets, that you don't actually say they did ma'asiyah. So even if Nabi Adam alayhi salam, we're all experiencing in the Qasr al-Haq, all he explains it out. So we don't have any su'udhan of prophets. So even with Nabi Adam alayhi salam, Habib's in his qasas, he said that Iblis at first came with all kinds of whispers. And Nabi Adam did not believe any of his whispers. So when Iblis said about the khuldi, the tree will make you an angel forever, you will live forever, and everything in paradise forever, Habib said that Nabi Adam did not believe all these things, because there is no proof about it. So what Iblis did is Iblis was a trick. Right? So he got Nabi Adam to eat the other fruits that were halal, that he could eat. So eat this Adam, and Nabi Adam ate it. Eat this Adam, Nabi Adam ate it. Eat this Adam, Nabi Adam ate it. And then without Nabi Adam realizing, he pointed to the haram tree, right? And he said, try this one. And so when Nabi Adam ate it, he did not realize it's the forbidden tree. Did not realize. You see that? So this is why it's a mistake, but not a ma'asiyah, because it was done not on purpose. So, mashallah, when Habib explained, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. It does make sense, because Nabi Adam would not do something knowing he's disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is how the khutuwat shayateen, like they do this is halal, do it. Do this is halal, do it. Do this is halal, do it. How about this? Without realizing haram. So step, and fall into the haram. That's from the hadith of Rasulullah. Al-halal al-bayyin, wal-haram al-bayyin, wa baynahuma umurun mushtabiha. Ya'rifuhunna illa qalil min nas. So yes. So Manishtana Bashruhat, ikut hadis. من اتقى الشبهات فَيَسْتَبْرَأَ لِدِينِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ. Right? So the hadith goes, whoever is fearful of the shubuhat, means the halal clear, haram clear, between them gray, right? Stay away from the gray. Right? Because if you are fearful of the gray area, then you have freed your religion and your honor. On the dignity is also free. But whoever when talking about shubuhat, those who come near the shubuhat, waqafin haram. It means in the hadith goes, he falls into haram. You fall because you can't see where's the cliff, because it's the gray area is like you see mist in front of you, like a fog in front of you. So if you walk into the fog, you have no idea where's the cliff. Right, so it could be that where it's clear ground, halal, clear ground, right? The cliffs or the valley, there's a haram. Between it is a cliff, right? And there's a fog there, right? The one who's smart does not go near the fog, because there's this fog. You can't see, there's a fog there, right? You stay where you can clearly see, correct? Right, and then it stares at me, right? So then, but if you go to the edge, how are you gonna know where's the edge? So that's why the hadith goes, those who come close to those things that are not clear, he will fall into the haram. You will fall into the haram. Oh, mashallah. And so, and you see that there's the khutwat shayateen. So shaitan, and in fact there was no shubhat. The shubhat to Nabi Adam alayhi salam was that he was interacting with shaitan. Because shaitan was coming to him and talking to him all the time. Right, so it's not haram for shaitan just to talk to him, right? But shaitan had his his gains. So when he pointed to the haram, and Nabi Adam forgot that was the haram tree, it slipped his mind, and that is the very tree Allah said don't go near. So it slipped his mind, and that's how we understand Nabi Adam alayhi salam. And Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like for example, and it's all about Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah with regards to the surah Abasa wa Tawalla, right? So, and to understand, so Abasa is when some frowned and turned away, right? When a blind man came to him, right? So for us to understand Nabi Muhammad's situation, first and foremost, the blind man did not see what he did. So the blind man is not hurt. He had no clue because he's blind. MashaAllah. You get it, right? So when somebody is frown and he turned away, right? Ibn Maktoum, it was him that came to ask a question. He had no clue this happened. He's blind. That's the first thing. So Nabi Muhammad, did he hurt anyone's feelings? No. There was no feelings hurt on anybody. Right? Because the blind man couldn't even see that he frowned and turned away. So he didn't say a single word. He didn't say, shh. He didn't say, in a while. He didn't say, I'm busy. He didn't say nothing from his mouth. Just the movement of the eyebrow. And even that Allah pointed out. And they said the movement of his eyebrow, right, this frown, was not a frown of anger, nor annoyance, but it was a frown of trying to focus. Because he's doing da'wah to some big shots amongst the Quraysh. And he's been following them around, trying to get them to listen to him. From his human perspective, it's human. Prophets can take what is human. From a human perception, if I get big shots to enter into Islam, so many people under them will come into Islam. So from human perspective, it's valid. It's valid. You won't see that Nabi Muhammad is wrong. It's right. As a human being, you see that. But Allah will say, Allah is the one. The ayat goes, what will make you know? And it's not a scolding, but as Allah is making a statement, as a human being, you will not know that these big shots, right, will not listen to you. And how will you know as a human being that it was better for you to attend to the blind man? You will not know because you're human. You can't tell. And you think as a human being, this Muslim who is blind has a Sharia question can be answered later. And that was his human judgment. And that's correct as a human being, right? Because you're trying to da'wah to people who are like big shots, and if they come in, so many people come in, and this person is your regular student, is always with you, he's not going to leave the religion, he's firm in his iman, he's coming to ask some tricky question. right? That can wait. It can wait. So as a human being, what will you do? These people have they have no patience. To try and get them sit down, they have no patience. Secondly, is that when a blind poor man comes into their presence, they get up and they walk away arrogantly. So you can see his fix. He's in the situation, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his frown is just a frown of trying to focus. What should he do? And even that, Allah put his Rasul so high on a pedestal, mashallah, so perfect, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that even that frown, and it's not an itab, is that Allah pointed out, right, that he frowned, he turned away, right, and to show that as human beings, you don't know where the da'wah should be, you know, because you only judge from the outward, mashallah. Right? So that's how our ulama, mashallah, they explain what happened. There was no sin that was done. There was no mistake. No one's feelings were hurt. He was not being rude. He was not being dismissive. But he was being human. That's all. Just being human. So he frowned. He turned away to think. Straight away. MashaAllah. Allah. I came the ayat. I said, so mashallah. And we say, for us as human beings, right, we would already say something. I mean, if it was me and the child came to me to ask some, random question, and I'm trying to talk to some people to da'wah to them, I will say to the child, can you wait? Right? After I'm done, I'll talk to you. Okay? Or you ever say something, right? And, I'm busy, okay? I mean, subhanAllah. And in fact, the blind man couldn't see that he was busy. Right? So that Maktoum came, had no clue he was in a meeting. He's blind. Right? So all he knew is that somebody's over there. And so he went to ask the question. He had no clue that around him were nobles, or not nobles, but were the big shots of Mecca, like that he was trying so hard to get them to listen to some Quran. And he finally got Elsa with them. And when that happened, this poor blind man came. And he knows that when this blind man comes and sits down, these people will get up. They don't want to be seen in the same majlis with the poor. They are that arrogant. So he knows it's a lot. He knows that these people, they are like that. They are like that. So even when there was once some of the richer Meccans later on after the Prophet of Mecca came into Islam, and they were the richer crowd, right? There's an ayat in the Quran now in Surah Kahfi. So it's all about Surah Kahfi. So they actually requested from Nabi Muhammad SAW to have a halaqah just for them, the rich. Don't allow this poor Salman al-Farsi and this Bilal and this, Suhaib, Ar-Rumi, this foreigners. Oh, mashallah. We have the same story right now, foreigners, right? Even our own towns, people be like foreigners. Mashallah, in Tarim, they welcome the foreigners. They embrace the foreigners, mashallah. Other parts of the world, people dislike foreigners. They're not our people, right? And they treat foreigners as second-class citizens, all around the world, subhanAllah. So they were like, they asked Nabi Muhammad to have a halaqah just for the rich and any powerful. And at first he said, I will consider. Allah sent down the ayat. Straight away the ayat came down. Do not do that. Don't differentiate between the rich and the poor. The rich have to break their nafs and sit with the poor. Don't you dare don't let the rich ever, don't give them ever a jalsa khas for them. They gotta learn how to be with the poor. And stop with their arrogance with regards to the poor. So straight ayat came down. That came down, and Allah told the Prophet, don't do this. Because again, from human perception, and something when I think about all these things, you think that something that I might do myself. Like if someone who was more noble, more rich, right? And you think, okay, da'wah to them, right? I want to da'wah to these people. And these people, they will not come for like a class at the masjid. They will go to a hotel, or they will go to some big shop place, or they'll go to some, some conference that's really like, high class. But in you sit on the halaqah, in the floor, they might not do it. In a sense, there is this tawazun going on. You're trying to figure it out, right? Mashallah. Right. So mashallah. it's human, right? It's human. You think, am I supposed to do it or not? You think about it. And Nabi Muhammad was stopped from doing it because these people, they were arrogant. And you have to calm down and break your nerves and sit with the people. And don't always want to be exclusive from the rest. It's a disease in itself, mashallah. And so mashallah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us that prophets are human with regards to their sense of judgment. But they're higher than most human beings because than all human beings because they have fatana. So they are smarter and higher and more keen or more sharp in their sense of judgment, but still human. Still, there's a naqs with regards to being human. So when they weigh things, it's possible they go with something that on the outward seems to be better, but Allah knows it's not. Yeah, so Allah gives
praise, not just stuff like that, but it's actually
a praise.
Turn away from those who don't listen to them, they try a bit with them and they leave them. But Rasulullah didn't leave them immediately. He's more interested in
doing da'wah.
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
So praising him.
Praising Rasulullah alayhi wa sallam on this, mashallah. But now, so mashallah. So when you have so a Nabi is someone who received revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala but was not commanded to deliver the message to a community. Right? Does not mean they don't deliver, they do deliver, but not commanded to deliver. Okay. And the one who received revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was commanded to deliver the message to the community. Right? That means it's a fard on them. They're not allowed to leave until Allah gives them permission, clear permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like we saw with Nabi Lut alayhi salam, the angels came clearly and said to Lut, Allah says leave by the morning. Before the morning, leave, because the Fajr is going to come. There was clear indication, leave the town. You're given permission to leave the town. So, and he's told leave the town before morning because morning is there, and the morning is coming close, right? It's really close by. So to be content the Sunnah and the guidance of Rasulullah and to be convinced by the proofs of his prophethood, right? So to be convinced of his prophethood, hadith on the first statement in Aqid al-Mushmala, Al-Billahi Rabba, bi-Islam Dina, bi Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa Rasulah. So the hadith on this station, on the authority of Ibn Abbas, on the authority of Al-Abbas, anhu, that he heard Rasul say, he has tasted the taste of Iman. طعم الإيمان قد ذاق طعم الإيمان من رضي بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا بسيدنا محمد رسولا. So he has tasted of Iman or taste of Iman, the one who has contentment, is rida. Whatever Allah decrees, that is with regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam dinan, whatever is the Sharia, rida, full rida. No issue whatsoever. Now I was sharing with the Razaragals today about how in the Sharia of Nabi Musa alayhi salam, because of the Sabbath and the Sabbath, they have to, from Maghrib of Friday to Maghrib on Saturday, they have to stay in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the Sharia of Nabi Musa. The Sabbath is a full 24 hours of worship. They're not allowed to work. They cannot ride transportation. They cannot on the kaharaba. You're like, oh, no kaharaba. Even if you have the generator and battery, you can't even on it. For them, they can't even put on any electricity on Saturday. And you could be in Singapore, you could be in America, wherever you are. If you follow the Sabbath laws, 24 hours, you can't do any of, because I had a Jewish friend and she was explaining all this laws of Sabbath. And then I was like, whoa, mashallah. For us, the Ummah, yeah, she followed them. Because and she was quite a staunch Jew. So it was an exchange program when I was in university. So she was from Harvard, from America. So she was shepherding my partner. So of the entire group, she was the most staunch person in religion, the group. And I'm Muslim, mashallah. So we were paired up. So when she was in Singapore for a week, I think. And then on Saturday, everyone went to Sentosa, which in Singapore, it's like a holiday island. So they brought the exchange students to this Sentosa, the holiday island. She didn't go. She was in there 1 week. They don't have rukhsah for safar. And we have rukhsah for travels, right? I mean, when you go on travels, a lot of things drop from us. You know, like 5 times a day prayer comes 3 times, but you come out when there's an asar and maghrib isha, like, and then you can qasr, you have to fast. She is, yani, musaf. So she decided that she's my partner, right? Decided that they were going to Sentosa, right? I'm gonna go with you guys just to bring you around. And then she's like, oh, I can't go. And I said, why? And she said, restrictions. That's all. So then I said, okay, I'll stay with you. I won't go also. I don't want to go also. You know what's going on in the island, you don't want to go. All the Singaporeans will not Sentosa. You don't want to go. You don't want to go. It's a waste of time. It's kind of like villas and beaches and entertainment park and whatever lah in Sentosa. So I said to her, okay, I'll stay with you. She said, okay. So I was in the university. She was in the hostel room. So I went to a hostel. This is near my room. I was living also, in a hostel. So I went to a hostel that in the morning of Saturday, I came to the hostel room. It was completely dark. No light, no air conditioning, nothing. Singapore. Yes. You'd be afraid. And she's sitting there and just reading something. And then I was like, are you reading in the dark? And I said, do you want to be on the light? Then she just looked at me. She kept quiet. And I said, can I on light? Can I on the light? She just looked at me, she kept quiet. So I didn't know what to do. I was burning hot. Because Singapore is hot. I like Tarim, but Singapore is rutubah, humid. So you come into a room with no aircon, no fan. You're gonna like, I'm gonna sweat the entire time in this room. So I put on the air conditioning, right? And I put on the lights. So I was actually not saying anything. I'm not gonna sit here in the heat. So I put it on. And then she said to me that she's on her Sabbath, right? She can't do it and she can't ask for it, but I can. So she cannot ask for things to be put on, and she can put it on as well herself, but I can, as an outsider. So she then sits in the aircon. She was hoping I put it on. Initiative put it on, but she can't indicate to me to put it on. She can, because there'll be a rush. There'll be like a cheating in the Sabbath. Mashallah, mashallah. So then I was mentioning this thing about the Sabbath because when it comes to the story of in the Quran about the Ashabul Bahr, those who live by Ashabul Sabbath, I live by the Bahr, right? And then they had this thing they did. Omar, what they did was that they had dug holes in, because they were fishermen. So on Saturday, they're not supposed to fish because Saturday is a day off. And in fact, but this girl, right? Because everybody went to Sentosa, they had to go by bus in the morning. Then they had to take they were taking a cable car ride across, and a lot of transportation. So when I was with her on Saturday, I was like, come on, I'll bring you to my house. And she said, where's your house? And I said, about an hour from here by train. And then she was like, oh, she can ride train because they can't take transportation. So I can bring you anywhere now. In Singapore, where do I go from NUS? From the university. So I said, the best I could do is West Coast. You could walk there. Is walking okay? And he said, walking is okay. Bicycle? No, okay. Can we do? I had to walk around with her. So I brought her to the West Coast, to the beach. Alhamdulillah, it was walking distance from the university because I didn't know what to do with her. She's a guest. So I wanted to bring her out. Everyone went to the island, and we are in the university. There's no one there in the weekend. And even the restaurants or whatever, it's all closed. Like they're all closed. Nothing's open. So she's hungry. I walked her to the West Coast. I walked her and there I showed places, but I got to know more and more about the Sabbath. And it was really, she was quite staunch. She didn't drink. The rest of them drank. The university. So and as she would wear always her dresses were up to her shin. And you will notice in university, because university everybody has their clothing up to here. University, right? NUS, everyone, non-Muslims, definitely is not going to go past it, right? In the university, it's fasad. Right? But I saw she always had long sleeves. She always had long sleeves on, and she was wearing up to half a shirt. Right? So I noticed that she was always decently covered. And then when at night, and I was so happy she was my partner. because because she was very strict on kosher. So I had to find for her food. And kosher is more strict than halal. More strict. Kosher is the Jewish equivalent for halal food. So they have laws on kosher. So I had to Google kosher. I asked her a lot of things, a lot of questions. Like what can you eat? What can't you eat? What are your restrictions? So she basically kept vegetarian because she wouldn't even trust the halal. So I was like, can I get you halal chicken? Or halal food? She says, no. Kosher is stricter than halal. And it's true. It's stricter. There are some foods they can't eat. I said, Masha, I think I learned so much from her about Judaism. And the laws of Nabi Musa alayhi salam, which if the Jews held onto it, is so strict, subhanAllah. And on the Ummah of Rasulullah, the Sabbath for our Ummah is Salat Jum'ah. For our, you have to be kathir. So for us in this Ummah, only the men for 2 khutbahs and 2 rak'ats have to stay in ibadah once a week. That's all on our Ummah. Not even 24 hours on ibadah. Just the men only have to do this once a week. And even that, some of the men fail to do that. The Jews, everybody is on 24 hours of worship. Then I was saying to the Muslim, can you imagine this was our Sharia? This was our Sharia. And they all said, yes. Radina bil Islam dina. If Allah had put this on us, we would do it. Right? We understood amongst the Muslims, Saturday, no one's working, or Friday, no one's working. Khalas, no. If Allah made it wajib on the Muslim from Layl Jum'ah tonight until tomorrow Friday, after if Allah had made it 24 hours ibadah on Friday, will we do it? Radina bi Islam. Radina bi Islam. We will not fight this. We say, halas, understood on Friday, nobody wants the fan. Nobody is like, I mean, it will be our lifestyle. The Jews are doing it, because but then now they're on the wrong Sharia because they should embrace Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they should come into Islam and the Sharia of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is much easier than Nabi Musa's Sharia. His Sharia is so heavy, mashallah, Nabi Musa alaihi wasallam. But it's known the Torah is heavier, and Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in the center. The Injil is lighter. So the Quran is between Torah and Injil. It's in the between. So in the Torah, when it comes to murder, there's only one uquba, which is punishment, capital punishment, which is the life of the murderer. So if someone killed on purpose, right, there's only one option to kill that person for the Torah. For the Injil, only one option, which is diya. It means you take blood money. You're not allowed to kill back the murderer. For our Sharia, you have 2 options. You can choose for the murderer to be killed, or you can choose opt for blood money. You're allowed to choose. So you can forgive the murderer. It is qatl bil amdan, is on purpose, right? You can choose to get blood money, or you can choose for punishment on the murderer. And Musa Sharia, no choice. Nabi Isa Sharia, no choice. Like given that law. So you can see how it's strict on this side, and on the other side it's a leniency. No capital punishment, but blood money. And Sharia Nabi Muhammad SAW, choice. You have a choice. You can see how it's in the wasit. It's the same thing with a lot of things. A lot of things you see in the salat. And this girl, she was praying morning, evening. She was praying. She's doing her prayers morning, evening. But I didn't see her sujood. I want to see their sujood. Because you hear that the Jews sujood on their side like this. Because of the story when Allah gave them Allah took the obstacle, right, from them to the coming from them, and then they refused. Nabi Musa's people, they refused at first to obey the Torah. Allah lifted the mountain, a huge mountain, above their heads. This is in the tafsir. This is in the tafsir. And Allah, the whole mountain above their heads, and they fell down in sujood because Allah said, take the Torah before, and they obey the Torah. And Allah put the mountain above their heads, and they got so scared. They went to sujood, right? And the mountain was still there, right? And then they promised Allah that they would follow the Torah, but they move their head like this in sujood to see the mountain. See the so that, right? And because then Allah removed the mountain from them, put the mountain down, and because they did this action in sujood, right? Habib mentions that till now their sujood is like this, because they saw that this is what saved them. That they sujood like this. So I don't see how to sujood. I should have asked how to sujood. Can you frustrate? I don't see how you're doing. Right, but what I've heard from Habib Omar, he said that they go like this, the head like that. Because they saw that was what saved them. Mashallah. There's Surah Baqarah. If you go to Habib Omar's tafsir, he does speak about all these things, about how they did all these things. Mashallah, with Islamic Creed, whatever Allah commanded us, whatever it is, we don't change at all. If Allah has said, and in fact, amongst the Sahaba, the first law of Saum, of fasting, was that the moment they slept, they cannot eat anymore. So their fasting begins with their sleep. The Sahaba, then the law was mansukh. The law was removed. The Sahaba, when they break their fast, right, and if they fell asleep, right, the fasting begins with sleep. For us, fasting begins with sahur, right, with fajr. So then law came down. Then what's the law of al-fajr. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed the law. What was on the Sahaba. But some Sahaba, when they broke their fast, they slept with their wives. And when they see their wives, they fall asleep without having iftar also, some of them. And they drank something, they went to their wives, and they slept with their wives, fell asleep. Khalas, the fasting began. So a few Sahaba had to go to a few days with no food because of this law. Right? But Radina did Islamic. Right? So but when it was difficult on them, Allah changed the law. And Allah said now, from sahur. So when you slept, can you imagine if you didn't sleep? And then when you sleep, your fasting begin. Imagine that was the law on us. MashaAllah. Then it says rahmah on the ummah of Rasulullah Sallallahu. So much rahmah. And so inshallah, we'll stop there for today, inshallah. Right? And next week we will go into the hadith on this. I can finish up at that last part. So basically, whoever says, Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas says, whoever says, I am Allah subhanahu as Lord and Islam as my religion and Muhammad as a messenger, then paradise becomes compulsory on him. MashaAllah. Right, 2 times in the morning, 2 times in the evening, and inshallah, it will be wajib on you. There's another hadith that states that whoever has any whispers, there's something that I always give to people that when they come up to me and they have shak, they have doubts in the religion or in the Prophet ﷺ or in the laws, or they find difficulty obeying Islam. Muslims find difficulty, you give them this prescription from Rasulullah every morning, every evening. You need to say, Radina billahi rabbah wa bil Islam dina. We say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa rasulah. And here in Tarif, they say in the Azan. And so in the Azan, they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. They will say, Radina billahi rabbah. We say, and they wipe their entire bodies. And then we say, Anna Muhammad Rasulullah, and they will go, yes, ya Habib, Allahumma la tahrimni. Right, and then they will do this thing. Right, they will do the eye thing. MashaAllah. Right, so in Tarif, MashaAllah, the whole Azan has like things where they see, MashaAllah, with every part of the Azan, MashaAllah. So inshallah we'll continue from there next week. Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha. Inna Allah jalla manafi'an wa amalan وإلى أرواح معالمنا ومشايخنا وزاوي علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وسلم. So next week I'll continue from after that Quran. Every single part was so much